Hi, everybody. You're joining us in the Love Therapy online. And we're going to give a conclusion to our topic about salt. Let's finalize our 3 Thursdays of the purpose of the salt. Today, we're talking about salty spring versus fresh spring. And we're reading from Matthew chapter 5. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. Salt is good, but if the salt loses its flavor, how will you season it? Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another. Very well. So when I think about salt, obviously, my mind goes to the kitchen. My mind goes to lunchtime, dinner time, because it's very hard to enjoy a good steak, chicken, fish, you name it, a nice salad. Whatever is there on the table requires a touch of salt. You can have the best ingredients, but when there is no salt, something is missing. It can be bland. Then, at the same time, when you give it a touch of salt, it's interesting that, for example, when you cook, you prepare me a meal, and I tell you, look, what a lovely lunch, what a wonderful meal. I always thank you for preparing the meal. And I would say, oh, that was a nice steak. That was a nice salad. But I never praise the salt. I never compliment the salt. I'll never tell you, oh, what a lovely salt. What a wonderful touch of salt. Thank you for cooking this wonderful lunch because the salt tasted amazing. I never talk about the salt. I don't mention the salt. I don't praise the salt.
There is only one time when you speak about the salt,
All right.
when it's oversalted.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. When it's over seasoned, very salty, extremely salty, then I would say, oh, it was very salty because the salt was not pleasant.
Overpower the flavor of everything else.
Yeah. And then the salt stood out and was memorable, but not for the right reasons. That's why our topic today is about salty spring and fresh spring. Yes, because the salt should be pleasant, but it should not, let's say, steal the show. Let's say the centerpiece, the one that should steal the show, is the steak or the fish or the chicken or the pork,
The dish.
the dish, right? But the salt is necessary. You take away the salt, you're missing something. But in the same way, it's in a relationship. When we talk about adding salt to a relationship, adding salt to your family, adding salt to your marriage, it means adding to that relationship life, adding to that relationship respect, adding to the relationship peace, adding to your home pleasantness, adding to your home togetherness, respect. In short, you know, when couples are together, and they season one another with salt, meaning with their character, with their behavior, the Spirit of God that is inside of them, working with the virtues of the Spirit of God, which is peace, love, joy, goodness, kindness, self control. So you are seasoning, you're blessing your household, you're blessing your marriage. We do this naturally, not because we receive a payment. You know, I am seasoning my wife with peace because I have peace.
Mhm.
I don't need to force it. And I'm not thinking like this, okay, let me be kind to you, let me be friendly with you, let me behave well with you so that I may receive a reward, so that I may um, get some credit and remind you at a certain time, now it's time for you to pay me back. This is the wrong reason to enter into a relationship. This is the wrong reason for you to come together. That would be like a marriage with benefits, a relationship with benefits.
And I'm thinking, because you see, salt complements a dish.
Yeah.
Right? So we are supposed to complement the life of the other person.
Yeah.
We are not, we don't enter, or we are not in a relationship to complement ourselves, but rather to complement the other. And how many times people failed with that because they put a lot of burdens and pressures on the family members in order for them to reach their expectation, and then make the family an unpleasant place to be. But when there is compliment, when a person adds on, even with compliments as well, right? What happens? That house becomes a piece of heaven, right? That family is a very comfortable place to be in, is like a safe haven. But the problem is, if you a person enters a relationship only thinking of receiving, what happens? It oversalts the relationship.
Yeah. Where this Bible verse says, when it says, you are the salt, have salt in yourselves, and have peace with one another. So I'm thinking like, if I am the salt, if I have flavor, so I don't need anybody to give me flavor, but I'm able to give, I'm able to share, I'm able to transfer, I'm able to contribute, I'm able to be a fountain of living water. So I'm not a taker, I'm not a receiver, but I'm a giver. And this is so important, because when I'm thinking about the singles, okay, if you happen to be a person that is argumentative, you're judgmental, you struggle with low self-esteem, in short, you always want to receive, you want to enter a relationship for the other person to make you happy, you enter into a relationship because you have expectations from the other person, and you struggle to give because you don't have much to give, right? I'm not talking about material things. It's very easy to buy material gifts. I'm talking about inside of you. You don't have much content inside of you, goodness that comes from God, to share with the other person. Then you need to be very honest. You should not enter a new relationship. You're not at the right moment, at the right stage in your life, that you can enter a relationship and make another person happy and compliment another person and give another person and share with another person, because you don't have the salt inside of you. Like we mentioned in the beginning, if you don't have peace, you cannot give peace. So we're talking about salt. The purpose of salt is seasoning the food. If I am the salt, it means I can season your life. I can season the relationship. I can season others without expecting to be rewarded with something.
Because the reward is natural. You give, you receive.
Yeah, because
It's very natural.
if
It's
you
not compulsory. Is a joy. If I give you, naturally, uh, you want to give me back,
yeah,
and it's not a payment or a repayment. No, it's just because that's the way it is. You give, you receive.
and that's why there are a lot of people frustrated. That's why some people, they are married and they want out of the marriage. They want to get out of the marriage because they feel that the marriage is very one-sided, very individualistic. It's not a team, and they feel one person is very selfish because one person only wants to receive, and the person is not a giver. And going back to the singles, for the love of God, be honest with yourself and don't make the life of another person hard. Don't be unfair to another person. If you know that you don't have the soul and you cannot add something to the other person, but you only want to take, don't make the life of the other person hell. I know those are strong words, but it's only fair to be honest if you are not ready yet. And the other way around, you also need to be careful and vigilant and alert to see whether the person that you get involved with, whether or not that person has the salt or not. If they are truly salt or not.
You know why
Because
only people
the Bible talks about salt that has lost its flavor. Salt that has lost its flavor means it's in a bottle, it's on the table, it looks like salt, it appears like salt, but it doesn't taste like salt anymore. It's like when you put salt and you mix it with water, it dissolves, it has lost its flavor completely.
property. And you know, you can only give what you have. So Jesus also said, right? You cannot spring salty and sweet water at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either you are salt or you're not salt. You you cannot mix it. Water and salt cannot be mixed in the same way in a relationship.
No, salty fountain and sweet or sweet fountain cannot be together.
No.
There is a fountain that is salty and there is a sweet water, right?
You know what people understand easily with fish? Because you have the fish from the ocean, and you have the fish that is from the river, the fish pond, right? They can only survive in their natural habitat. If you swap them, they may die because they are not used to the water. But talking about that, dying, on the other hand, we're talking as well about salt being used as preservation. Salt is for seasoning, adding flavor, but salt in the olden time was also used for preserving. And a lot of people know about this because in the olden time, the fishermen, they would travel into the ocean, spend many days or weeks on the ocean. And when they would catch the fish, they would be happy. But there would be one problem. They would have to travel back to the land, and it could take days and weeks and months for them to get back to the land. And they could not lose the fish. The fish could spoil, and then they would lose the entire catch. So they would use a lot of salt to preserve the fish. And also in the olden time, people would not have refrigerators and freezers. And when they would kill an animal, they would use salt to cure the meat. By curing the meat, they would preserve the meat and they would stretch it so that it would not lose its expiry date, as we could say so. So we understand that when the person is the salt, they are able to preserve the relationship. They are able to preserve the marriage. If you have two people that have the salt inside of them, the Holy Spirit, two people that are born of God, they are able to preserve that marriage. That marriage will last. They will have problems like everybody else, but because of the salt, it will be preserved.
And now you can understand why relationships fail, because it's a lack of salt, right? And when there is a lack of salt, they try things to spice up the marriage. So that there are people that they need to watch pornography. They were taught that they have to watch pornography to spice up the marriage. I even heard of three-way relationship to spice up the marriage. What is this? These ideas, they come from people that have no salt. They are only thinking about a moment, a pleasurable moment. They are only thinking about themselves and not thinking how to make the relationship work. So, as the salt is also used to preserve, so when we have this salt, then we preserve the marriage. We don't need things, external things, to spice up the marriage. Marriage only gets better with time, right? So if you have the salt, if you don't have, that's another story.
Yeah. Those that have the soul, they drink from the fountain of life. They don't drink from the trends, culture, and traditions of the world and Hollywood. They don't need that. Actually, to finalize here, in James, we're reading here, it says, does a spring send forth fresh water and bitter from the same opening? Does no spring yields both salt water and fresh
water?
That's what you were talking about. Okay, so whoever is drinking from the spring of life, the water of life, they don't need to drink from any other source, any other fountain, because what they drink from, the Word of God, is more than enough to make the family work, to make the marriage work. All right. Now, this is the conclusion of our trilogy of the salt in the love therapy. And as we conclude, let's remind everybody that we're going to have the Love Walk in October the 7th. The location will be Time Motion. The t-shirts will be arriving very soon, and you will be able to collect them here in Hong Kong at the Help Center. You can scan the QR code for more information to get your love therapy kit for the couples and the singles. A very special kit with cards. It's going to be amazing. May all of you have a very blessed weekend, and we look forward to continue with our seminar online next week, Intelligent Love, and we'll be back again on Thursday, the same time, the same station. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.